never been one to go by the rules. Well, I didn't care what was in, well, I didn't care what was cool. Well, I've always been a little reckless and wild and free. And the older I get, the younger I wanna be. Yeah, 'cause I'm still some kind of crazy, out on the edge.
All right. Now on accuracy. Now, accuracy, I'm not going to throw on camera because that's more on me. I'm just going to tell you, the Atlatl outperforms the Zamburu Spear for accuracy. It doesn't, the Zamburu Spear on the other hand doesn't need to be as pinpoint accurate. So on this one, you're going to obviously have lots of blunt force trauma. On this one, you're probably going to have an inch to maybe an inch and a half broadhead on the end of this, because this takes standard archery tips, as I just hit my truck with the back end. So this one doesn't quite need to be as accurate, but this one definitely carries more accuracy. Now, compared to the wood one is vastly more accurate. So the longer your spear is, usually the inherently more accurate it is. Being this one's 6 foot, this one's 7 foot, this one tends to have more accuracy built into it. Now here's where I'm going to say this caveat that you have to watch out for. This wood, if it comes across on camera, yeah, it's bent. Not bad, but it warps. This wood is not as, it's heavier, and obviously when it hits, you saw that it hit hard, and even though it has a slight bend in it, it's not going to affect your accuracy that much, but it does affect how you carry it. This being carbon, these things are straight. They're always straight. The only place it might bend is up here if you bend your insert. But overall, this one's always going to be straight. And if you have to, you don't have a good place to store it, you can take it all the way down to store it. I still believe, even though penetration-wise on foam target is not as good, just the sheer heaviness of this is not going to be, is going to penetrate good. Well, but you better be ready. Sorry, neighbor's dog barking, I can't do anything about it. Alright, so now ease of use. This one's a clear winner. There's not even close. And all the people that I've ever taken out to throw with the Atlatl or the Zamburu Spear, it's not even close. Everyone I've ever shown picks this one up and throws it the best. Yeah. The Zamburu Spear is the easiest to learn because you're literally just throwing a spear. Now, a lot of people don't understand you have to arc this. So this carries a lot of power, and I would argue that at the same distance, this might be the most powerful weapon at 7 yards. But you have to throw it up, and it has to follow behind, and you must have all that power going to the point. That's where a lot of people mess up. So a lot of people can take this and hit the target, and they say, yay, I got the stick. And they have it stick, and it comes in falling like this. Yes, I thought I was going to stab myself. So it's falling like this in stabs. And that's just not going to be effective. If you look up the proper way to throw a spear, it's up and in. That's the only way to get the most power out of this bad boy. And if you watch Tim Wells, he's killed a lot of things with this. Some big bad animals. So this thing has this power. This one's easy. Now, with the Atlatl, not so much luck. Usually, first throw, nosedives, because everyone goes to throw, and they think they have it level. They have it like this, and they try to shove that point into the target, and it nosedives. With that being said, this has a flatter trajectory, making it, in my opinion, easier to be accurate with. But you must learn how to throw this thing. Now this Carbon Express model is kind of easy, and with their little Velcro system, once this Velcro gets used up, this thing stays on. And it's a pretty effective. So, but overall easy use is a spear. So now we're going to go to which one, if you were going to be interested in purchasing a spear for spear hunting or even playing in the backyard, which one I would suggest. And I'll go in descending order, meaning my least favorite choice last and my favorite choice first. Now please pay attention, there are a couple things you're going to need to know when you are buying and dealing with these spears. So my number 3 pick out of my 3 spears for what spear I think you should buy to hunt with is the wooden spear. I know this sounds weird, and even though I still think this hits the hardest out of any spear, it's probably the worst one for a person to buy unless you are super into hunting with an Atlatl. And you're going to buy his kit. And I can't remember, American Atlatl, Eagle Atlatl. He's on, just Google it, he'll be the first one to pop up. And even though this is a quality product, I've already had one where the feathers came off. So that's not very good. It already has a slight bend, and I've been storing this thing sideways, not in a corner. And it already has a slight bend in it, which won't affect much of that way of accuracy, but it's just one of those things, you just bought it. Even though I still say, and I do think if I was hunting big game, like if I was going to go hunt water buffalo down in Texas or something, and maybe even whitetail, this might be a much harder hitting choice. And because of its size, it's not easy to store. So all in all, unless you're really into Atlatls, and if you are, then I think this is the best choice for an Atlatl dart. I just don't think this is a good choice. Alright, number 2 is going to be the Zanburu spear. So, some factors that makes me do this one is number 2. One, you're going to find that this thing has plenty of power. Love the spring weather. You're going to find it has plenty of power. Even though I said it doesn't penetrate that little foam target, and pure penetration test, it did penetrate the most, but I'd be interested on the same target. And it's built really well. Now out of the box, you're going to have to sharpen this thing. And I highly recommend you buy 2, make one your practice spear and one your hunting spear, which I did. And it's the easiest to pick up and learn. But one thing that makes it number 2 on my list is its inherent accuracy issues. So with it not being as accurate, I cannot put this at number 1. Now, as far as penetration and build, it's awesomely built, but because of its inherent accuracy problems and limited distance, this thing's really an 8-yard weapon. And past that, you're going to have to arc it. Most people do not know how hard it was or is to hunt with this. I know this because back a few months or last month, we were down at Rack Attack Outfitters in Oklahoma, which is a hunting ranch where this is legal. I was hunting and I chased a Mouflon ram all over and could not get close enough. I mean, I got really close, but not close enough with the spear. So it's very limited in range, and it's also not legal in any state, I believe, except for hogs. So with all that being said, it gets the number 2 spot. My number 1 spot, if you haven't figured it out, is the Carbon Express. So I've had this one the longest out of all of them, and I think it is the best. It is the best for storage. It is the best for getting your hands on it. It's the easiest for entry. It's the most rugged, durable. Even though this one does break, and I'm going to go into that, where I've had problems. This one just comes apart. We can throw it in the truck, and it works great. Here's your caveat. The tip. So it comes with a 125 grain point and a 50 grain insert, and Carbon Express will tell you that's good enough. I'm here to tell you that is not. You need a lot more weight in the end of this dart. So much weight that I'm banking on. You need at least a 200 grain point or better. Now they're out there, and this really gets number 1 because it takes standard archery points that you can find anywhere. So even if you did only want to hunt with your 125 grain point and then put a 125 grain broadhead on this and go hunt, which I do not recommend, you could. And with it being carbon, it can flex, and as long as it's not broken, it'll be straight. I have modified these and put 300 grain inserts in here, and then I put a 300 grain broadhead on the outside, and I have found that this just did not like that. It was too flexible. Even though I do think you need to run a higher weight out here, and you're gonna have to vary, but this is my number 1 for sure. It check marks all the boxes. With the correct point, I do think this is a viable hunting option for medium-sized game. Here in Missouri, we are allowed to hunt with an atlatl, and I do think that this is more than capable of penetrating a deer and killing it with 200 grain plus point. And I do believe on this one you should run as heavy as a point as possible. If that means pulling out the original insert and putting a 300 grain insert in and a 300 grain field point, that might be a great option. Now here comes the downside to this one. Out of every atlatl I've bought, it breaks right up here. This part always breaks. I've had one break here. The middle part wear out. Believe it or not, I've had good luck with the back, but the front always breaks. They last about 3-4 months, and then they break. So there's your one downside. Well, on top of the fact that if you don't have a heavy enough point on this, this thing is not viable. Not a good option. In fact, if you're not going to run the point, the heavy point, and you're going to get into spear hunting, and you're going to go where it's legal, I suggest the Zamburu spear. Much better option. If you're not going to do what it takes to hunt with this. But at distances, and I mean, I've gone out to 15 yards with this and hit the target with enough power I would be more than capable of hunting with. So that's my take on the best hunting spear on the market. If you like this video, hit that like button. It really helps us out. If you want to share this, I would greatly appreciate it, and show more people the fun you can have with spear hunting. If you're not following us at Heavy Arrow on Facebook, you should be there. You're going to see lots of different pictures. It's springtime, it's turkey season, and when I get a chance to, I like to go out and turkey hunt. Nick posted up there, he already got his turkey for the year. Awesome job. And we should have some more hunts coming down our way. And on Facebook, you get to see what we do all the time. Again, around here, I keep posting content every week, so you're going to want to stick around for that too. Remember to always keep it heavy.